Thanks for joining us. We're gonna jump right in. We are recording this, so we're gonna share it with people who couldn't make it today for our little lunch info session. But we wanted to bring everyone together and talk about our destinations and journeys for 2027. So we're excited to have you all. We are doing a little prize. So anyone who's joining us live today at any point throughout the presentation will be entered to win a little prize pack from Curata. So thanks for jumping in live. All right, we're gonna head right in. I know we have some previous travelers joining us and some new faces. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Curata Travel, we actually grew out of a cheese business in central Pennsylvania, Caputo Brothers Creamery. The owners, Dave and Rin Caputo, went to culinary school in Calabria, Italy. And after their courses, they were inspired to travel all 20 regions of Italy, kind of using food as a map, letting it guide them from region to region, and really learning about the culinary traditions and artisans who make Italy's food scene what it is. And that grew into the cheese business, which then launched a series of culinary tours, small group tours, that we've been running since 2012. So that'll be a later question. But we've been running tours continuously since 2012, all over Italy and now beyond. We've gone to France and Croatia, Spain in a few weeks. So our goal on any of these tours is to not only build a sense of community amongst our travelers who are usually very curious food lovers, really interested in learning about the culture of a place, but to also learn about the culinary traditions of each place we visit. So it's not only about great meals and the food you'll eat, which will be abundant, but also the artisans and the traditions that are making up all of these specialties that we know and love from Italian food. So our team is made up of some of us that you see here. My name's Kyle Carter. I'm the Chief Curation Officer here at Caputo Brothers Creamery and Curata Travel. I was actually on the first tour in 2012 and have been running the tours ever since. We're made up of a team not only here in the US, but also in Italy. So you'll see Dave and Rin Caputo there pictured, who are the owners. We also have Romina Diaz, who's based in Florence. She's currently escaping the heat of Florence and is on a campground right now. And then we've got some of our other team members who I'll let introduce themselves. Brianna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. My name is Brianna Giesemann. I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so I'm one of the team members that is stateside. But I work with Kyle in the Spring Grove office, right where Caputo Brothers Creamery is located. But I do get to spend a lot of time in Italy as well as a tour leader. But I went to Dickinson College and graduated with a degree in business and Italian studies. I come from an Italian-American family. I love all things Italy. I studied abroad there and tried to figure out a way to get back, and Curata was it. That was the answer. So I love just taking people to Italy and exploring a way that most tourists don't get to explore. So that's a little bit about me. Nice to meet you all.
All right, Chris, you want to go ahead?
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Aldhouse. I'm originally from right outside of Philly, but moved to Bologna, Italy a little over a year ago. My story is very similar to Brianna's. You'll notice a little theme here. I also went to Dickinson College and studied Italian studies and studied abroad in Bologna, Italy. I'm also Italian-American, so a lot of similarities there. I've always been in love with Italian food and Italian culture and the language, being immersed in it since such a young age. And after studying abroad, I just knew that I needed to stay or spend most of my time in Italy. And so it's been the same thing for me. Curata Travel really opened this door to dive deep into Italian culture and cuisine. And it's really cool to see us explore other countries now and see how those compare to a lot of the cultures that we see in Italy. So I'm very excited to show you all our 2027 tours. We're going to some really amazing places.
Awesome. Martina.
Hello, everybody. My name is Martina Bartolozzi, and I am tuning in from Florence, Italy, where I live. I was born and raised right here in Italy, in Tuscany specifically, and I have been working with Curata Travel since 2018, leading many, many tours for them every year. I am one of their senior tour leaders. My next tour will actually be my 43rd. I've led every itinerary with them, and my training is as a butcher with my stepfather, Dario Cecchini, who is one of the most well-known butchers in the world. I am absolutely obsessed with food. I live, breathe, talk food all the time. I am particularly passionate about Italy's culinary traditions, and when people come and join us here in Italy, I am the bridge in between Italian culture and American culture, having been raised by an Italian father and an American mother. And so great to see some familiar faces and so many new faces also on this call.
Yeah, welcome everyone. So any of the people that you see here could be tour leaders at any point, any trip that you sign up for. We also occasionally have guest tour leaders. So whether it's, again, through our cheese business, we work with a lot of restaurants and have relationships with local chefs or chefs from all over the US. So we could have a guest tour leader that's a chef or a wine expert, and you'll learn a little bit more about that. Chris, if you want to go back a slide or two, you've got, yeah, so this next one is just an overview of some of our destinations for 2027. Highlights some of the bigger places you may have heard of, some places that people may have on their bucket list, whether that's Florence or the Amalfi Coast or Lake Como. But you can see from all the pins here, including our one little pin for France, we cover the entire country of Italy. We really try to give you a lot of choices, whether you are a first-time traveler to Italy or whether you're looking for someplace that's more off the beaten path, which generally our tours focus on primarily. We try to take you out of the big cities for the most part. So that's just to give you an idea. If there's a region or a part of Italy that you haven't explored yet that you've had your eye on, we probably have something for you. We wanted to cover some of the frequently asked questions. So to give you an idea of what our tours are like in general, and we did open up questions beforehand. Some people submitted questions, so we'll cover those as well. The first question is, what is a group tour or an escorted tour? So that just means that you are we are considered a small group tour company. So our groups are 20 people max. We usually are between 12 and 20 people on any given tour. And escorted tour means that you have tour leaders with you the entire time. So that while there is free time on a tour, your tour leaders are still available to you. They are guiding you through every part of the tour. They accompany you at the meals, on the transportation, which we have a bus the entire time, bus driver. So you have the security, which is great. Also, we have a lot of solo travelers who maybe aren't comfortable traveling on their own in a foreign country. So between the group that surrounds you the whole time and your tour leaders, you can feel confident traveling in another country. What is included? So on all of our tour pages, it'll tell you specifically for that tour what is and is not included. But your accommodations are included, all of your meals, unless it's indicated on the itinerary. On any given tour, you might have 2 meals on your own. And that's important because part of what we're trying to show you is not only the meal structure in Italy, but traditional dishes or what the specialty of a restaurant is. So we plan all of the menus in advance. Curata actually means curated in Italian. So not only are we curating your entire trip based on our experiences, we're curating each menu for every meal. So down to every detail like that. Your excursions are covered, your transportation, even gratuities along the way for restaurants and hotels, things like that. We do a lot of preparation before a tour. Our team members, specifically Brianna and Chris, are sending out communications 6 months up until the week you leave with ways to prepare you for your trip, whether it's packing tips or arrival day information. We do a pre-tour Zoom with everybody, a virtual meeting, so you get to meet your fellow travelers and your tour leaders. We offer one-on-one virtual calls to get any of your questions answered. And of course, we're always available anytime. What's not included, so the trip prices don't include airfare. We can certainly help you in looking for flights. It doesn't include gratuities for our team members and the driver. It does not include anything during your free time, obviously. Any like taxi rides you may take to a different restaurant or something like that, and doesn't include travel insurance, which we highly recommend. How many travelers are there on any given tour? Covered that in the group tour section above, but typically anywhere between 12 to 20 people max. And then you always have at least one of our Curatza travel team members. On a full tour of 20, you would have 2, or a guest tour leader, something like that. A typical day on tour. So this ties into one of the questions we got in advance, was about the amount of free time. A typical day on tour has a good balance, I think, and what people have told us, a good balance of activity and free time. So you would get up, you can have breakfast at your leisure in the hotel. We try not to have any really early departures any day. So you have breakfast, we'll get on the bus and go to an excursion, whether it's we're going to a winery or an olive oil producer. And then we'll typically have lunch either on site there or somewhere in between. You would have a few hours in the afternoon free. So that can be used. A lot of people just like to read a book or rest. Some people, if we're in Bologna, want to go and explore some of the museums. And we prepare you for all of your free time activities too. So we provide information in advance, whether it's places you might need tickets for, highlights of a city, so you can make the most of your free time in any given location. And then we'll reconvene for a group dinner together, usually later in the evening, 7:30 or 8 o'clock or so. And then the rest of your evening, whether you go back to the hotel or just wander around the town. So it's typically like that. So, and whether it's reversed, whether you have some free time in the morning and our activities in the afternoon, it is a pretty good balance that way. And
Kyle,
then,
can I? Sorry,
yeah.
Kyle, can I add something?
Yep.
So something that we really like and what we hear from travelers about how our, a typical day is set up is, you're traveling with this group, you have activities during the day, you have that free time in the afternoon, but we're always reconvening in the evening for dinner. And I think that this is really important, especially when if you're signing up for a group tour for a reason. Part of the reason might be so that there's someone to take care of all of logistics, but we really try to make a community and encourage that connection with other people. So those meals at the end of the day are really important for that, so that by the end of the trip, you've become your own little family and you've created these lifelong friends that you can keep in contact with for years to come. And we have travelers who had met years ago on a tour and then they continue to travel with each other year after year. So that's just something that not only is about the food and the travel and the beautiful scenery, but that connection is really important to us too.
Yeah, that's a great point. We create, for every tour, we create a WhatsApp group chat, so we can use that during the tour just for, reminders, meeting points, things like that. But those keep going for sometimes even years after a trip. So people are still getting together for dinners who live locally. And like Brianna said, some of those groups are then linking up and traveling together on future tours, which we absolutely love to see. What kind of hotels do you stay in? So we try to give you a mix of hotel experiences on any given tour. And what I mean by that is you may have a sort of a country B&B, an agriturismo or a masseria that is like a smaller family run B&B type of place. You might have all the way to what's considered a grand hotel that's more of not American style, but more of a hotel as we know it, a more formal hotel. And then in between, you might have some sort of boutique, small, again, family run hotel that's in a small town. So we try to give you a good something that's in the city or in a town, something that's in the countryside or a little more rural, so that you get a good glimpse of what it's like to travel through Italy. So trying to stay away from any like larger American style hotels, all of that. We've got a question, Catherine.
Yes. What about air conditioning?
Great question. We always strive for air conditioning. If there is one where we do not have it, we do let you know in advance. I can only think of 2 hotels out of how many tours do we have this year? It's like 12 tours, 3 hotels. Out of almost 40 hotels this year, there are 2 that did not have air conditioning, one up in the Dolomites, so where it's cooler in the evenings. And then one, if it doesn't, we stay there only in a season where it's comfortable enough to stay there without air conditioning. But if there is one that didn't have it, we would let you know in advance. But we don't try to choose places without air conditioning for sure. But yeah, we're not trying to stay in like the heart of Florence in July in anywhere that doesn't have air conditioning. And all the rooms have private bathrooms. They all have the amenities that you would be used to. So, hair dryer, private bath, anything else you guys can think of. A lot of times they even have like the robes or the slippers, and they all have a safe, usually coffee in the room.
Sometimes there's a spa.
Sometimes there's a spa. We do try to look for a nice spa hotel. We enjoy those as well. And Brianna just added something. There's a chat below if anyone thinks of anything, or if I'm going too fast and I didn't see your hand up, please let us know. All right. So we have our first little quiz. For anyone, you can put your answers in the chat. How many tours has Curata Travel completed since our very first trip in 2012? So 14 years ago. Got 22, 35, 53, and 87. You can put it in the chat or you can just think it. All right. I know the answer. The answer is 87. So we are about to kick off our 88th tour in just a few weeks. Our Due Coste tour will be number 88, I believe. So yeah, very, very exciting. We should be at 100 next. What do we decide? Next year? Is it next year? Yeah. So that'll be very exciting. Something we'll have to surely celebrate. All right, so jumping into our tours, we're going to go in chronological order. There's a few that are sold out, which we'll talk about at the end. We'll go over, but since we have a lot to cover, we're going to stick to the ones that still have availability for next year. Our first trip of 2027 is Savoring Sicily and Southern Italy, and this is one of our tours that does have a guest host. So one of our biggest cheese customers out in Pittsburgh is Driftwood Oven, which is incredible. If anyone lives in the area or is visiting, stop at Driftwood Oven. It's a bakery and a pizzeria. And Chef Neil was actually nominated for a James Beard Award, which is like the Oscars of the culinary world. So we will be visiting Southern Italy. You can see each tour that we cover, you'll see the little map here, and you can see we're covering Calabria, which is the toe of the boot of Italy, and Sicily. And this is for April of next year. The places we'll be staying, we'll be staying 3 nights in each of these places. We'll be starting in Catanzaro Lido, which from the pins below, it was like the bottom of the boot, the instep kind of. Near Silverato would be one of the larger cities too. And we specifically picked this place because it's where the Italian Culinary Institute is located. This is the culinary school that Dave and Rin Caputo went to, which is what sort of launched all of this for us. So we'll be spending a day there. We'll also be visiting the cheesemaker where they first trained to make cheese. We'll be doing a pizza class, so with Chef Neil, pizza maker, which will be pretty excellent. From there, we'll go to the top of the boot, the top of the bottom of the boot of Calabria, which is a town called Tropea, which if you've ever seen, you'll see a picture on the next slide. But this is really, it's one of my favorite towns. We've been going here since 2013. It's where Italians vacation. It is known as the Pearl of the Tyrrhenian Sea. You can see it's got incredible cliffside homes and buildings. It's right on the beach. And this whole area, Calabria, is known for spicy foods, which if you're a spice lover, this is the perfect spot for you, the pepperoncino. And from there, we will be going across, we'll take the ferry across the Strait of Messina into Sicily. And we will spend our final 3 nights in the town of Siracusa, which is on the southeastern side of the island. And actually, in Siracusa, there is the old town is actually its own little island called Ortigia. This is my favorite piazza in all of Italy, and the picture is there, but it doesn't even cover it. It's this massive piazza, beautiful Duomo, which is actually one of the oldest churches in Europe because it used to be a Greek temple of Athena. Anyone that's watched the Odyssey, Athena features pretty prominently. But this is it is a really, again, because it's a small little island, it's very self-contained. It's easy to get around. You can feel comfortable walking around, sort of getting lost in the little alleys. We'll have on this whole trip, we'll have obviously pizza with Neil. We'll have some incredible seafood being on the coast. And then on our next page, we've got some of the trip highlights. So not only, and I'll say this for all of our trips that have guest hosts, having an expert with you just adds something to it. So whether it's a professional chef and getting their insights or a wine expert, it's really cool seeing sort of how they process their inspiration. So whether they have an Italian restaurant or a pizza restaurant, it's really cool having that insight along the way. That top picture in the center is part of Tropea. So that's sort of an iconic image of Tropea, that church out on the rock there. Sicily, obviously the home of cannoli. This is where you'll have the most incredible cannoli of your entire life. We will visit the culinary school, as I said, where we'll do a little pasta making class, pizza class. We'll have some incredible meals there as well. The bottom picture of the ruins. So Siracusa actually has an incredible archaeological site that we do give you free time, a good chunk of free time there to go visit the archaeological site. These are ones that are just in the middle of the city, just hanging out right near the hotel, which are pretty incredible just to walk by. And then up in the top left there, we've got some olive trees. We're going to go visit one of our favorite olive oil producers, which is a small family-run place in Calabria. One of our favorite olive oils, one of our favorite experiences, just a beautiful family that we love to see. And then in that bottom left is maybe my favorite pizza ever, which is a very Calabrian pizza. It's got Tropean onion, which the city of Tropea is famous for. It's a sweet red onion. And those dark bits that you see there is called induja, which is a spicy salumi that whole pizza is like making my mouth water right now. It's my favorite bite. So this is an incredible trip. If you're interested, it's a very vibrant part of Italy. A lot of people don't travel this far south. You won't see a lot of American tourists in these places. So if you're really interested in a unique culinary and cultural experience, this is a wonderful trip for you.
I will also add that it's a great time of year to go as well. So it's before a lot of the tourists start to arrive, and it's before it's really hot in southern Italy. So if the heat is not your thing, springtime in southern Italy is very comfortable.
All right. Am I muted? No. Okay, I'm good. Our next tour is our Iconic Italy tour, and this is in May of next year, which, following Brianna's point, it's still the shoulder season. It's before tons of tourists start to come over, and it's before the temperatures really get hot in Italy for the summer, so it's a perfect time of year. This itinerary is the first tour we've ever done under Caputo Brothers Creamery before Curata Travel existed. And this is another one that will have a guest host joining us, and it is Justina Latura. And she is the partner and founder of Vine Bar in Lancaster, which is a sommelier-led wine bar and tasting room. So she's going to be a really great addition to this tour. We visit a lot of really awesome wineries, so having her insight in this is going to be really, really amazing and totally change the whole experience. So on this tour, we start out in Cinque Terre, right here, and then move over to Bologna before heading down to Panzano and Chianti in Tuscany. So going a bit more in depth, we'll start in Cinque Terre, more specifically in the town of Monterosso al Mare. And as you can see here, it's absolutely stunning. This tour is called Iconic Italy for a reason, and it's because all of these views are iconic and could easily be wallpaper to your computer. So we start on the rugged cliffs with crystal clear waters before moving over to Bologna, which is a medieval city. It actually has the oldest university in the Western world, which was founded in 1088 AD, I believe. And it's known as the food capital of Italy as well. So we'll definitely dive very deep into the food culture of this region. And then we'll head over to Tuscany, where we'll stay in Panzano in Chianti, which is a small village in the rolling hills of Tuscany. So, like I said, very iconic. You have three very different landscapes here, but landscapes that probably come to mind when you think of Italy: the rough cliffs, the medieval city, and then also the rolling hills of Tuscany. And just going through some highlights of this tour. In Cinque Terre, we'll take a little sunset cruise around the sea to admire the cliffs from the water. I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Luca. It's a Disney or Pixar, one of those movies, and it's it's animated, but the inspiration was Cinque Terre with all these really colorful buildings directly on the cliffs. And then we'll also have, obviously, lots of great wine. We'll go to a winery there where Justina will give her insight and really help us connect deeper to the region and deeper to these producers that we'll be meeting. Then we'll head over to Bologna. A lot of iconic Italian dishes that you've had come from Bologna, like lasagna, tortellini, tagliatelle right here. So we'll actually do a food market tour around Bologna where we'll sample tons and tons of dishes, anything from cured meats to pastas to desserts and coffees and snacks. And that's a perfect introduction into the region, so you really get to know what this region is known for and what it produces. We'll also go to a Parmigiano Reggiano producer, as you can see in this picture right here, and we'll watch every step of the process. So we'll see how the cheese is made from curd all the way to aging and sample different ages of Parmigiano, which is a really awesome experience. And also some warm, freshly made ricotta, which is delicious. And then we'll head over to Panzano in Chianti in the Tuscan Hills, where, of course, we'll have to have some Chianti wine, which Justina will talk to us about. And we'll also go to Dario Cecchini's restaurant. Dario Cecchini is one of the most famous butchers in Italy, and he has a really awesome restaurant where we'll have a meat feast and just load up on Tuscan delicacies there. Anyone want to add anything to that?
And he's also my stepfather, the person that I trained with and learned how to be a butcher with.
Yeah, if anyone, we've also brought him to York, Pennsylvania before, if anyone came to one of those fun events. And I was on a call with some potential travelers yesterday, and they were asking, what's your favorite tour? Which I understand it's what people feel if they're asked what their favorite child is, but this one holds a place in my heart. A lot of reasons that Chris mentioned. I feel like, again, whether you're a first-time traveler or you're returning to Italy, I feel like it gives you such a great variety of scenery alone. It covers so many of the classics. And again, it's the first tour we ran in 2012, obviously adjusted over time. But I just feel like it gives you such a breadth of a taste for Italy. No pun intended.
All right, Sardinia. For those who love some beach time and some crystal clear, really just stunning waters, Sardinia is the place to be. So this is our Sardinia's Emerald Coast tour, where we visit the northeast coast, and then we also go inland for a little bit running from May 26th through June 3rd. And we also have an optional post-tour extension to Algro at the end of the tour. So this is an 8-night, 9-day tour. We spend 4 nights in the beach town of Calagonone, and then 4 nights in Arsacena. Calagonone, cute little beach town. The hotel that we stay in literally looks right onto the beach and the little port area and then it sort of makes this little horseshoe, and then you can see some of the land and the mountains in the distance, and it really is just beautiful. So there's lots of things to do in town, little shops. You can get some souvenirs there, or you can just spend some time at the beach. And this location gives us pretty strategic access to hop right on a private boat just for our group, to visit some caves there where we get to jump. Well, you can jump off the boat into the water, but we'll walk off the boat to visit these caves, walk through the caves, and then we'll continue along the coast, stop at some beaches, and have some swim stops along the way. And the water is just really beautiful. I mean, you get in and you're swimming around and you can look down and see your toes. It's just so crystal clear. It's really beautiful. Then we spend 4 nights in Arsacena. So we go inland a little bit, and we stay at this really beautiful resort. It has a spa, there's a pool. And so in that end of May, early June, it should just start to get warm enough to hopefully enjoy the pool. And during our time there, we have, you'll see in the next slide, we have some pictures, but we have some winery visits. We get to see how the local cheese is made. We have this really unique visit to a jewelry maker as well. So I'll go into some details then. But then there's the 3-night extension in Algro, if you so choose. So it's a little bit medieval, a little Gothic. So you get some different architecture that you didn't get in the first 8 nights of the trip. So you can see there at the top left is the different caves. So taking a boat and seeing some of the beautiful coastline of Sardinia. We also have another boat excursion planned in the second half of the trip, where we take a sailboat and sail around the archipelago of like the Magdalena area. And so being on a sailboat and just soaking up the sun, and again, being able to jump in to the crystal clear waters is just, it makes for great memories. And I'm very warm right now, and I wish I could be there now, get a little dip. The top right, that's when we visit the cheesemaker. So we get there, he shows us the whole process of making some of the local cheese. And then we have a really fantastic meal at his agriturismo, right. And it's a gorgeous view too of the coastline. So we go up into the mountains a little bit, so it makes for some great pictures as well. We plan a cooking class at our second accommodation, where you get to learn how some of the local pasta shapes are made. We get to make some local pastries and cookies as well. So those are some recipes that you can take home with you and enjoy making even after the trip. And then I mentioned the unique experience with the jewelry maker. So that bottom left picture, we visit our friend Mattia, and we get to enter his shop, and he shows us the whole process of making this local filigree jewelry, which is very, very intricate, very, very beautiful. And so we have a lot of guests that like to go and buy a ring or like a pendant. And he's also recently been making some really like non-traditional pieces as well. So he's doing some experimentation with the local technique of filigree, but it's not something that we have on any other trip. And you can just tell he's very passionate about what he does. The food is very different in Sardinia compared to a lot of the other places we visit. So you almost feel like you're not even in Italy anymore. It's like visiting a totally different country almost. But definitely a great summer trip for people who enjoy beach time. I think there was a question. Let me see. How warm is the water that time of year? Good question. I don't know. Last time I was there was in September. And September was comfortable, probably in the mid 70s, so like refreshing. But if you're sitting out on the beach for a while, it feels good to take a little dip. Early June.
I would say like low 70s maybe.
Okay.
So maybe a little cooler than in September after it's had the whole summer to warm up, but still refreshing, still not too bracing. Michelle.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. I have been on another tour with you guys a couple of years ago. My question is, if the food is so different on this trip, what is the food like?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, pasta is still a big one, but they have this really interesting pasta shape called colorgiones, which is almost like a dumpling. So it's the pasta and then it's filled with potato and cheese and mint. And then they sort of wrap it up just like they do a dumpling. That's just not something that you see in any other part of Italy. They also have a bread called pane carasau, which is like a very like almost cracker paper thin like bread that again you don't really see in any other part of Italy. So they just sort of have their own unique cuisine there. Obviously, with the proximity to the coast, there is a lot of fresh seafood. What else am I missing?
I was going to add that even the language is different. The dialect is very different. Even the spelling, there's a lot of J's and Z's and other letters that you don't see used as much. Yeah, use a lot. So even the language is different, but it's a good blend. I feel like this is really good for people who have traveled a lot throughout Italy. I think it gives you a really cool different perspective on sort of a blend of cultures. It has a lot of influence from it's right next to Corsica. At some point they had to have been attached in prehistoric times. There's a little bit of African influence, so it has a lot of other countries' influences too, which I think is really cool.
Is that one sold out yet?
That is not sold out.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. All right, next, Abruzzo. This is a completely new itinerary, so we're very excited to get this one started next year. So Abruzzo revealed coast, countryside, and cuisine. So this trip is just to one specific region, the region of Abruzzo, and it's not one that a lot of Americans have heard of. If they have, it's most likely because they have some ancestors and heritage from the region. There are quite a bit of Americans whose ancestors come from here. But I mean, on any of our given trips, like you've heard, we focus on off the beaten path places. This is one where you'll say, oh, I'm going to Abruzzo. Americans will be like, where? Like they don't even know it's in Italy yet. So we're taking a pretty comprehensive and contrasting look at Abruzzo. There's some really beautiful coastal spaces and some really beautiful inland spaces into the mountains. So this is happening at the end of June 21st through the 30th, staying in Varia di San Vito, which is right along the coast for the first half of the trip, and then ending in Santo Stefano di Sessagno, which is in the mountains. And I'll show you some pictures. It's this really beautiful town. Here we are. So Marina di San Vito. We want to spend some time by the coast, specifically because of what you see there in that picture to the left. That is called a trabocco. Trabocco is this fishing hut that juts out into the sea from the coast. And it is absolutely a place that we have to go visit while we're on the tour. So we'll have this really incredible seafood feast going into the Trabocco off the coast. And so you're just surrounded by water and surrounded by delicious seafood. So these old fishing huts they would have these big nets, and that's how they would get all of the fish most of them today have been turned into restaurants. So our hotel is right by the Trabuco, the coast of the Trabuci. And we also get to spend some time on the beach as well. Since it is all coast, we'll go into Pescara, you'll have some beach time. And there's some really wonderful wine from the area as well, including Cerasuolo, which most people have not heard of, but it's a rosé wine from that area that is refreshing and crisp, and they do it really well there. After 4 nights along the coast, we'll head into the mountains to Santo Stefano di Sestagno, which is this really beautifully preserved medieval village right at the top of a mountain. And that's it. And our hotel it basically took different homes and apartments and has converted them into hotel rooms throughout the town itself. And this hotel, it's sort of set up the rooms like these homes would be back in the day. So it's a really cool experience while you're there, but it also gives us access to some really interesting like experiences in the mountains. So visiting this restaurant that's basically like, here's this delicious meat and you get to grill it and have like your own little party there, and a historical train ride as well. We end the tour in Rome Fiumicino, just by the airport, just for easy access to the airport. So we celebrate our final night in Rome, right by the airport. So I mentioned wine tasting. I mentioned the Cerasuolo. We're also visiting this winery that has a wine fountain, like wine on tap. Like you get to go up and wine just flowing right for you. I mentioned grilling. So the top right, those are called arrosticini. And you'll see them all over Abruzzo, and they are delicious. One of my favorite bites. And you can order a bunch at a time, and they come in these really cool containers. Mouth-watering, Kyle. It's happening. It's happening to me too. I mentioned some beach time, especially in June. It's a great time to enjoy the beach and the coast since we're right there. And a historical train ride. So this opened not too long ago, but they have this historical train. It's in the bottom left corner there, where you get to go and ride through the countryside and the mountains. And they have some stops at different towns along the way. But it is quite stunning. And when I went last time, they had a traditional band going from carriage to carriage, playing some traditional folk music as well. So it was a really cool experience, and one that is very unique to our trips too.
I would add too, when we talk about beach time, I think this picture made me think of it. When we talk about beach time, it's very different than in the US. It's not just, throw a towel down and expose to the elements. It's all very civilized. We arrange chairs and umbrellas. As you see here, they're all beach clubs. There's typically some sort of fantastic restaurant associated with it. A lot of times we are making sure it's right in a town. So if you are not a beach person in any way, shape, or form and just want to, hang out in a cafe or something like that, shop around, there's usually a good combination of things to do. So if you are not specifically a beach person, there's still other options. But the beach is, the Italians, like with many things, have it right there with how to do the beach. All right, summer in the Dolomites. So this is one of our newest itineraries. We just finished it for 2026. And if you have not seen the pictures, we haven't even we had a professional photographer with us this time traveling along. And so we haven't even gotten her pictures yet, but just the photos alone are stunning. And this is an area we've all traveled through. We do a lot of our Christmas market tours in this area as well. But we were looking for, it came out of a few things. One is finding a cooler part of the country to hold a summer tour. And one of our other tour leaders, Romina, who was pictured on one of the first slides, she grew up going here because her parents lived in this area, the Val Rendena area, in a town called Pinzolo. And she really wanted to do sort of her heritage tour, and it was created out of that. A lot of really unique experiences. You can see it's all the way at the top of the country, up in the Dolomite Mountains as advertised. And this will take place in July of next year. And we'll go through some of the destinations. So I mentioned the Val Rendena area. So this is home to the town of Pinzolo. Madonna di Campiglio, a lot of you may have heard of, is a famous ski area in Italy. And all of these areas are very focused on ski during the winter, but during the summer, they are very active areas for skiing, hang gliding. Rin actually went hang gliding while she was there. Hang gliding, mountain coasters, zip lining, none of which we will force you to do, but really we'll talk about some of the incredible experiences that we have there. But this is outside of the bigger cities, so this is very very alpine, a lot of little huts, very charming little alpine villages, and really stunning views. We'll take some cable cars up so you can see. We won't make you hike the mountains, but you can have your full like Sound of Music experience up on the top, on the mountaintops there. And then we'll also spend some time in Trento, which is a city there. If anyone watched the show The Four Seasons on Netflix with Tina Fey and Steve Carell, they went to the Christmas markets in Trento, so you got to see a peek of it. It's, again, we do visit the Christmas markets there too. It is a great town and a good base for all of the activities in this area. And so you'll get a little bit of the countryside, like I said, a little rural area, and a little city experience as well. Yes, Martina has a question.
Speaking of what kind of hotels we stay in, while we were there, they were filming this episode, and we happened to be staying at the very same hotel that Coleman Domingo, Tina Fey, and the whole cast was staying at.
Yes. So not to brag, but Hollywood stars stay at our same hotels. And some of our guests may have invited them to Lancaster to visit. So some of the experiences, this is a super unique trip. We really take advantage of being outside, of some of the unique products there. You can see some of the amazing views. One of the experiences you'll see in the bottom left is we do a foraging experience. So we go out with some foraging experts, so not to worry, that show you all of the different products. So again, depending on it wasn't mushroom season when we were there, but a lot of herbs, edible flowers. There were a few mushrooms, but not as heavy as they would be other times of the year. They can find things like wild asparagus. And so we do a whole foraging adventure and then go back to a little chalet and make lunch with some of they did a nettle risotto, a whole cooking demonstration right in front of you with the foraged items, which was really, I think, a top highlight for this group. Above that, you'll just see some of the beautiful views from one of the lunch spots. The top picture, a lot of people don't think of Italy as a huge apple production country. This area, Trento and above the Val d'Anon area, is known for their apple production. So we'll go to a cidery, and you'll both hard cider and regular cider and apple products, and you'll just see orchards upon orchards up in the mountains of these beautiful apples. There's also a wonderful winery experience, a small family-run winery that is, I think, again, another favorite of the trip. We tried their sparkling wines, and this area is known for a specific sparkling wine called Trento Doc, which is a sparkling white wine, very the bottom center pictures, so we will visit a honey producer. It's a very unique experience. It's a nomadic honey production, so their hives travel all over the country, depending on the season, depending on the flowers. And the two sisters that run it have a super unique story. It's a beautiful women-run business that we love going to visit. The two girls are amazing, and I think the group got to eat straight off the honeycomb this time, which was got some great pictures of that. And then you'll see a cheese experience on here. Obviously, again, being part of a cheese business here in the U.S., we always are interested in the cheese production in Italy. So we'll go to a very special cheese producer there, and you'll taste some of the different cheeses. But I think our goal here is to really help you appreciate the mountains and feel like you are just immersed in the Dolomites and the views. I didn't get to go on this trip, but we did a lot of the pre-research, and we've been there for the Christmas markets, and I think we were all jealous that we weren't there. It's definitely a new favorite for sure. Flavors of Bordeaux. So I mentioned we were going back to France next year. This is a tour we ran last year. It sort of came about very organically. There's actually a local to Pennsylvania, local York area wine producer who has married into a family who owns a winery in Bordeaux, and their cousins happened to be on a tour with us, and he stopped by our shop in Pennsylvania and was like, we would love to bring people to our winery. And this was in 2023. And so we developed this tour that goes to their winery and all around the area. So you'll see we're in the Bordeaux region, and this is in early September, which is during the white wine harvest usually. So it's a great time to be there, a lot of activity, and it goes to these three areas, which we'll talk about next. So we will start in the Bly, the area near a town called Bly, which is right on the estuary. The family-owned winery is right near here, so we'll start just near their winery. So that'll be a good jumping-off point for exploring the wines in that area, but also it's close to Cognac. So we'll go to a Cognac producer, which is a very cool experience, a very historic producer. From there, we'll go a little further inland to Saint-Emilion, which, I can't even describe this town for you. If you Google it, it looks like, I felt like I was in a Harry Potter movie or something. It is a medieval village. It has a massive church that you can go underneath. We do a beautiful tour of that. There's no cars allowed inside the town. So it's this little small stone village that's really stunning, surrounded by these vineyards that you see. And then we finish in the city of Bordeaux. So we'll be right in the heart of the city. There's an incredible wine museum, which I know museums we don't usually promote, but this is the most interactive museum experience I've ever had. But it's got great access to beautiful shops. Again, incredible museums, both art and the wine museum. It's right on the river. And this will be a good progression, starting in the rural countryside, then a little village, and finishing in the city. So obviously this is great for wine lovers. We bring along another tour leader who obviously speaks French, and she happens to be a sommelier trained. And so she is an incredible addition to this tour. A lot of people may not realize this is a huge oyster production area right off the Arcachon Bay. So we will take a boat out for the day into the bay and go to an oyster farm, eat oysters right out of the sea. I don't know that I've had any better. Maybe in Croatia, they were just as good, but that's a favorite experience for sure. In the top right, you'll see we go to the vineyard for the day and have an entrecote steak cooking over the cut vines, so it doesn't get any more immersive into the vineyard than that. So we'll have an incredible picnic lunch with the steaks and be in the heart of the vineyard, which is really beautiful. The bottom right is just outside of Saint-Emilion. Inside Saint-Emilion, there is a cheese shop. They also have a shop in Bordeaux itself, and we do a whole cheese tasting of French cheeses, which which really rival any cheeses I've had throughout the world. And that's a really fantastic experience. We have a whole cheese-based meal, which is wonderful. I mentioned Cognac. While we are up in that area, for those of you who have been to any winery, but any of the wineries in Italy that we visit too, you'll know that the barrels are very important. And if you remember, a lot of them are stamped and they'll say that they're from French oak. And that's all you hear about is French oak, French oak. So we will go to a cooperage, which is where they make the wine barrels that they ship all over the world. And you'll see, this is a picture of them toasting the inside of one of the barrels. You'll see them molding the barrels, putting them together. It's really a very cool experience. And then we have a wonderful cooking class in a chateau we made. It's the most efficient cooking class I think we've ever taken on a tour. This chef, it was incredible. We made a full meal from start to finish, and really, really beautiful cooking experience there. So this is a fantastic tour. We really fell in love with the area and the people, and the food is incredible on this tour. So if you're looking to go beyond Italy, I would recommend Bordeaux. Ooh, another quiz. How far in advance do we recommend booking international flights for your Curata tour? And not that anyone's going to go online and read our blog post at this time, but we do have a blog post on our website that gives a lot of tips around booking flights. So while you're thinking about this, whether it's, the best airports, how to, we have a lot about the current visa requirements that are ever changing, any travel requirements. So our blog post area on our website is a great resource as you're looking to travel. Chris? So we say 4 to 6 months, and that is, someone said 6 to 9, which I also don't disagree with. I wouldn't do more than that because, for example, we were looking at something you won't even find for a year out, you won't even find flight itineraries available. But as your trip gets closer, the more flight itineraries you'll be able to see. So 6 to 9 months is a super time to start setting some alerts. So if you have a trip booked, you can go in Google Flights, which is what we used, and you can put in the flights you're looking for, the destinations, your departure airport and your arrival, and it'll let you set an alert, and it'll send you an email weekly, typically, if the prices are changing dramatically. You don't want to get much closer than 4 months, mainly because things will start not being available or the prices will start to change dramatically. 6 months is a good sweet spot in between those two. Yeah, Michelle.
Where would you fly into if you were going to Sardinia?
So that trip, so any of our trips, on each web page, there's a section for flights, and it'll show you the specific airports where we meet. So for that trip, it would be the Olbia airport, and that airport code is OLB, and that's the airport we fly into and out of for that Sardinia tour.
And is that in Sardinia?
Yes, it's in the northeast corner of Sardinia.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, and so we, like I said, on every web page for each tour, it'll tell you the specific one. So we always recommend that if you're looking at a tour, take a look at those flights. You can sort of do an initial search for flights and get an idea of routes or general costs, so you can factor that into your decision about a trip.
And Kyle, I know you mentioned this before, but we are also, we're happy to guide you through the process. So I know some people find trying to find the best flight itinerary a daunting process. And so we can help. We have the blog post, yes, but once you're signed up for the trip, we're happy to point you in the right direction and help you find those options that work best for you.
Right.
All right. Let me make sure I'm not muted again. Okay, great. Our next tour is the Lakes to Lagoon tour, which Kyle mentioned that it's so hard for us to pick a favorite, but this one might be my favorite. It's such an incredible tour. It's such an incredible time of year as well. Northern Italy in the fall, it's right before it gets really, really cold, but the summer heat has definitely broken. So it's crisp and the leaves are falling and you're on these beautiful lakes. And I just think it's the most stunning, stunning, stunning place ever. So on that tour, we go to Lake Como. That's where we start, which is obviously a very, very famous lake, before heading over to Lake Garda and then ending on the Venetian Lagoon in a town called Chioggia. And that's next September and October of next year. So we start on Lake Como, which is actually the deepest lake in Italy. Very, very famous. We're going to be staying directly on the coast, and it'll be a perfect home base to go out and explore other villages and towns on the lake, which I'll get into a bit more when we talk about the trip highlights. But it's absolutely stunning. The architecture is gorgeous. We'll sail through and see lots of beautiful estates and villas and villages. And then we'll head over to Lake Garda, which is actually the largest lake in Italy. And here, again, we'll be staying on the coast. We'll be able to enjoy the weekly markets. There's lots of towns along the coast of the lake that have different weekly markets. So we'll make sure to go to one and people can shop for souvenirs. There's a lot of really great kitchen goods, tablecloths and spoon rests and all that kind of stuff, along with clothing, and also food products as well. So we'll have a little shopping excursion to check out a weekly market and explore the Franciacorta wine region, which is right around Lake Garda. It's a really great, crisp, bubbly wine. So we'll explore that a little bit. And then we'll head over to Chioggia, which is known as Little Venice. It's this picture right here. As you can see, if that wasn't labeled, you might think that's Venice because of the canals and the buildings directly on the water and the little bridges as well. So it's very, very similar to the vibe of Venice, just minus the crowds. There's still lovely little piazzas to sit in and little shops and the canals and bridges, like I said, but way more calm, way more serene, and a lot more quiet. So some of the highlights, this right here is Lake Como. We take a boat tour around the lake where we get to check out all of the estates that a lot of celebrities own. And then we dock in Bellagio, which is a very famous village where you'll have free time to explore, grab some food on your own, walk around. There's beautiful gardens there as well. Everything on Lake Como is a crazy photo opportunity. So your camera roll will be full from this portion of the trip. And then we also have a cooking class where we make a traditional pasta dish directly on Lake Como. It's absolutely stunning. Martina, do you want to jump in?
Yes, I just wanted to add that the couple in this picture in the cooking class, they got engaged on that trip last year. So that was a very, very sweet moment. We actually had 2 separate engagements last year, which was very cute.
Yes, they did. They got engaged on a gondola in Venice, which I will get to. But absolutely, yeah, beautiful. I don't know how you can one-up that engagement. Then we'll head over to Lake Garda. We'll have a very interesting winery experience. We'll be visiting these wineries in harvest season, so we'll have a very unique winery experience that incorporates something to do with the harvesting, which is really, really awesome. We'll also be very close to Verona. So we'll take a day to go into Verona and explore that. And we'll actually have an Amarone wine themed meal, which is one of my highlights from this tour. It is absolutely incredible. Every dish incorporates Amarone wine in some way. And the last few times that we were there, they had a bottle of Amarone wine on the table that was absolutely massive. It was probably this big. The guests were very, very happy about that. And so, yeah, you'll be able to see Verona, a very romantic city. And then we head over to Chioggia. And while we spend some time in Chioggia, of course, we have to take you over to Venice. We're so close. We're a short boat ride away. We can't take you that close without giving you some time there to explore it. So you'll have a free day in Venice one of the days. And then we'll also explore a casone, which is right here. It's a fisherman's hut built on stilts in the Venetian Lagoon. There's plenty of them all around the Venetian Lagoon. So we'll take a boat from our hotel, which is directly on the water, to a casone and have a very fresh seafood lunch. It's a very unique experience, very, very amazing, trying these local products, fresh seafood that was caught, right then and there. So it's really amazing. This is, like I said, one of my absolute favorite tours ever. Yeah. Anyone want to add anything to that?
No, I think you're right. This is one of our, I would say, if we had like a series of classic tours, I would say this is one of them. I mean, most people have Lake Como on their bucket list. A lot of people don't think of Lake Garda, which is just as beautiful in its own right. These have great little towns right on the lakes. And then Chioggia is just a perfect little experience. I feel like it really ties everything up, and you do get to go see Venice, but then you also get to see what a more local fisherman's village looks like. But fancy, but make it fancy. Sicily Grand Tour. So we did something special. Gosh, when was this? In January. We polled all of our followers, all of our previous travelers. We put a public poll out there. Where do you want to go and when? And the overwhelming result was Sicily, a pure Sicily tour. And so we created, and they wanted to go in the fall. So we created the Sicily Grand Tour. And that is going to go around the island. It's all Sicily. So it will start in Siracusa, which we talked about a little bit for the first tour of next year, and then go to Agrigento, and then finish in Trapani. And we do have an optional extension to add 3 nights on in Palermo if you'd like to do a little bit longer tour that will take you even further around the island. So the highlights of our itinerary, we start in the town of Siracusa. If you remember all the way back from the beginning of this presentation, this is has my favorite piazza in Italy. So again, a lot of incredible archaeological sites. We'll be staying in the old town in Ortigia. And then from there, we'll go around the bottom of the island to the town of Agrigento. This is, again, it's called Valley of the Temples, and it's got some beautifully preserved Greek ruins. It's right on the sea, and this will be a good, again, jumping off point for some of the activities in the area. And then the main itinerary finishes in Trapani. If anyone's heard of Trapanese sea salt, this is where it's from. There'll be salt pans. This is an incredible experience. I'll talk about a little in the highlights. Again, more wonderful fishing traditions, and we'll be on the coast. So we'll be following the coast all the way around Sicily. This is also in between where Marsala wine is from. There's a great olive oil producer there. And then from there, for those that are interested in extending, we'll finish in Palermo, which is a bustling city, incredible architecture, Baroque architecture, beautiful opera house, and it's known for its street food scene. So we'll be doing a market tour there. Some just tremendous food on this whole tour too. So some of the highlights are, you can see the salt pan experience. This is not stock photo. This is our own traveler harvesting sea salt right out of the salt pan. You'll get to do a harvest experience, get some sea salt to take home, which is incredible. I mentioned the ruins. We've got cannoli again, always a favorite. The bottom right is another view from Siracusa. This is the fort that's on the end of the island of Ortigia. We will do both a Marsala winery and a more traditional winery experience. The pasta dish you see there is pasta della nonna, which is a very traditional dish of the area, which has tomato and eggplant. And then on top, you'll see ricotta salata, which is an aged salted ricotta cheese, which is fantastic. You'll see that a lot in Sicily. Bottom left is the archaeological ruins in Siracusa. So there is a beautifully preserved amphitheater there, which is in the archaeological park, really stunning. So we have a lot of travelers that have a lot of Sicilian heritage. I think this is great for someone that's interested in a heritage experience. It's also, again, it's on the coast the whole way. It's in October, so it's very seasonal. Won't be too hot. I think the salt pan experience is maybe one of our top on any tour. It's, again, a standout of a unique experience. So this was one that was heavily requested, and we are very happy to offer it for next year.
girls trip. We're gonna let Martina take this one.
So this trip is from November 12th to 19th, and it's based in Lucca and Florence. We're spending 4 nights in Florence and 3 nights in Lucca. And it was born out of 2 main concepts. So one is that I was born and raised here in Tuscany and in Florence. And unfortunately, I hear some people say that they come to Florence and they absolutely love it. It's so, so beautiful, but it's so crowded. And I can understand where they are coming from with that. But as a local, I know all of the places and the best times to come to truly get the best out of the city without being overwhelmed with the tourism that is present here. Because it's one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it's not a secret. I know the secret places though. And the other concept is how can we highlight women more? Because this is a country whose culinary tradition is based on mamme and nonne, on mothers and nonnas. All of the Michelin star chefs, they say, I would be nobody today. I would have nothing if it wasn't for my mama and my nonna that taught me how to cook. And I myself, in 2021, was nominated one of the top 20 women in food in Italy by Corriere della Sera, which is one of the leading newspapers for Italy ever since the 1800s. And I know this incredible community of women in the culinary world in Florence and elsewhere in Tuscany. And so along with Romina, our other tour leader, we've designed a tour that is based all around women and specifically for women. So sorry, gentlemen, you'll have to sit this one out, but we look forward to seeing you on another trip. But this one is only for the gals. And again, Florence needs no presentation, but for anyone who's unfamiliar with Lucca, Lucca is a city that is just about halfway from Florence out to the coast. And it's one of Tuscany's last standing medieval walled cities. So it's a city that has medieval origins, and it still has the original walls all around the city center. And they're really, really thick and really, really wide. And there's actually a park on the top of the walls, and so you can bike all the way around. It's a very, very cool experience. And so yeah, 4 nights in Florence, 3 nights in Lucca, flying in and out of Florence. And all of the activities that we're doing are all revolving around woman-led and woman-owned and woman-run businesses. So for example, in the top left corner, you see a coffee roastery. There's a duo of sisters, the Dini sisters, who are based here in Florence, and they have a little roastery here that supplies coffee, quality coffee, for almost the whole city. And we are going to go visit them and learn how coffee is roasted and why coffee culture is so important in Italy and how it's actually so different from coffee culture in the US. Then in the bottom left corner, you see 2 dogs and 2 feet. Those are truffle hunting dogs and a truffle hunter, because we are also going to go on a truffle hunting experience with Stefania Calugi, who again is a woman who has a truffle hunting business. And we will learn all about this delicious food and how it can be harvested and sourced. Then, as you see in the bottom right corner, all women, it's going to be an opportunity for us to connect as women also amongst each other. In the top right corner, you see some red wine, some Chianti wine. Chianti Classico wine is known to be some of the very best in the world. And so we're going to a woman-led, woman-owned winery, and we're going to enjoy a tour and a tasting. In the upper image, you can see the Ponte Vecchio, which is one of the most iconic pieces of Florentine architecture. And actually, not everybody knows, but the Ponte Vecchio, which is now all lined with goldsmith shops, used to be a market. So one of the activities that we're going to do is that Romina and I, we are going to, as we go along, we're going to tell you all about how food interconnects also with the architecture and the cities that we are going to visit themselves. In the bottom, you can see some delicious pasta dishes. There will be, of course, plenty of pasta eating. And the bottom middle photo, that is from Dalla Lola, which is a small woman-led restaurant Matilde, who is the owner, is one of my friends. And a lot of the places that we will be visiting aren't just women-led, they are our personal connections. So it'll literally feel like you're visiting friends and family because you will be with our friends and family. And even during your free time, we have compiled a list of restaurants and businesses that are women-led and women-run, so that even during your free time, you can go and continue supporting women as women.
And that picture from Dalla Lola is from when our team had lunch there one day, and I think all of us still think about that meal.
It's pretty delicious.
Yeah, it's tough doing these calls during lunchtime.
Obviously, the fact that, you know, our highlight and our most important thing for us is obviously supporting women-led and women-owned restaurants, and businesses. But top priority is also quality, obviously. So we're not just taking you anywhere. We're taking you to places that we love and that are fantastic. And actually, Dalla Lola specifically was also featured on Stanley Tucci's most recent episode based in Florence. So
Yeah.
These are not just anybody. They come with the qualifications.
Yes, absolutely. Curatifications. The last one we have on here, this is something unique that we started doing 2 years ago. This is our Tuscan Immersion Tour. And so it says you pick the dates because you get to pick the dates. This is a private 6-person tour experience where you bring your 6 people. We pick the dates with you. And it's 6 days immersed in the Tuscan countryside with our friends at Ancre del Chianti and Greve in Chianti. This is, if I mention why did I just get so dark? If I just talked about the culinary school being sort of the seed for our tours, this would be another piece of it. So this is a small agriturismo in the hills of the Chianti region of Tuscany. It's where David and Caputo actually got engaged, and we are very close friends with the owners and wanted to. Our tours used to go here before we got a little bigger in size, so it's up in the middle of a vineyard and olive orchard, so it can't be reached by bus. So it's meant for 6 people and one of our guides, and it's sort of customizable, but it's meant to be a private 6-person tour. So if you have a small group of people and want to do something that's a little more custom, this is for you. So you can reach out to us and we'll help you coordinate dates and put it together. And some of the highlights for that are all of the Tuscan experiences you can think of. So we go to a market day, olive oil producer, Chianti winery, pasta making. We leave a day open where you can pick an excursion to a nearby town, whether you want to go to Florence, San Gimignano. One of our Tuscan Immersion members is on the call, Rusty. I see you on here. He and a group of friends did this last fall. So it's really meant to be, it's great for a family group. This was, Russ did it with a group of three couples. It's really meant to give you an immersion as advertised into the Tuscan countryside. So that's what Tuscan Immersion is all about. And then as we speak about doing some custom experiences, a lot of people don't realize we do offer private tours and itinerary planning services. So if you do have a group of, say, 12 or more people, and whether it's like, oh, hey, my whole neighborhood group would be really interested, or an alumni group or an affinity group, something, we can certainly help you plan a private tour where it's one of these tours that we've mentioned or one of our other itineraries, but just for your group. That's something we offer. And then itinerary planning is something else we offer, where if you're traveling on your own, whether it's is or is not attached to one of our trips, we'll have some people who are like, I want to do Rome for 3 days before we join the tour. Can you help us put something together? So this would be, we work with you about what you're looking for, and it's our recommendations for an itinerary with, say it is Rome, we'll give you a handful of hotel recommendations, excursion and restaurant recommendations per day with contact information. So you make the reservations, but we put the whole itinerary together for you based on our own travels and personal recommendations. So we obviously have a wealth of knowledge amongst our team and amongst the years that we've been doing this. So a lot of people will send us a message and be like, hey, will you help us plan our couple extra days, or, you know, just our families going, something like that. So again, just a few other things that are available to you through Curata. And then I mentioned we would talk about, we do have a couple tours that are sold out for next year. Our Heart of Italy tour, which is sort of central Italy with Chef Taylor Mason from Lucca in Lancaster. Our Due Coste tour, and then Italian Alps also with Chef Taylor. So those three on the right-hand side are sold out for next year. We do have a wait list. They are still up on our website, so you can go online and click a button to join the wait list. And then on the left-hand side, we do have a few tours remaining this year that have space left. If you are a very last-minute traveler, we have Due Coste and Coastal Spain coming up in just a few weeks that have a couple spots available. And then in October, we have La Cucina Puglia, sort of like the Tuscan immersion. This is meant to be an immersion into Puglia. So we stay in one place. We stay in a masseria in the heart of Puglia for a week. It's a beautiful property. It's got a pool with a view of the sea. It's got an outdoor kitchen, a culinary garden. And we do excursions from there. Incredible winery, Albero Bello, which is a beautiful UNESCO heritage site. We go to the seaside. So that's got some beautiful excursions and experiences, again, with an optional extension to go to the cave town of Matera. And then we have our Christmas markets tour in early December. This is so fun, something we all love. It's very festive. This goes to the area that we talked about in the Dolomites. So all the way north, Trento and Bolzano, and some of the smaller villages around for their Christmas markets. Some of those excursions, we've talked about the cidery, the honey producer, and it's just so fun. These towns, they're so festive. They've got the, you know, the little wooden huts all set up with the Christmas items, amazing food and food in the markets. You guys have anything to add for those? Any favorites, any favorite moments I'm forgetting?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay. Obviously I did a lot of talking. Oh, we have a lot of events coming up that you can find us at. So does anyone know where you're going to see us in the coming months?
All of the above.
All of the above. Yeah, good guess. All of the above. The Vineyard at Hershey event is on the 22nd of this month. They're doing this Italian Summer Festival at the Vineyard, and this will all be in our upcoming newsletters or on our social media. The L'Italia Festival in Lidditz is in September. And then in October, this is a first of its kind event for Forchetta Fest. The UPMC Healthcare Foundation, UPMC Pinnacle Foundation, which is a healthcare group in central Pennsylvania. They have a farm to hospital program where they are growing food that they're using for their patients and in their cafeteria. They have a whole culinary program around it. And we're working with them to bring Chef John Nocita, who was the culinary instructor at the Institute in Calabria. He's coming over to do some events, and this is a $25 a person sort of local producers, and there'll be some food demonstrations. So all of that's available if you look on our social media and in our newsletters, all of that event information. That went a little long, but thank you guys for hanging in there. And if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to shoot us a message afterwards. We can set up a call to answer your questions. We would obviously love to have you on a tour in the coming year or in the future. And you guys have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, feel free to reach out. There's a contact form on our website. So if you do have any questions, you can reach out that way, or even through social media. But thank you all for joining. I hope we were able to explain a little bit and help you find a trip that fits what you're looking for.
Yep. And as we mentioned, anyone who joined us today for the live portion of the call is going to be entered to win a Curata travel experience prize, not experience, not a tour, sorry, travel prize. If we don't have your email and you would like to be entered, you can either put it in the chat or we'll put, Brianna, can you put your email address, and then we'll, you can send Brianna a message so that she has your email address, and then we will contact the winner via email. All right. Well, if nobody has any further questions, thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you on a tour soon. Grazie.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.